أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم صل على سيدنا Muhammad وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Hari ini akan nak share. I know I said I will never share, tapi yang ni terpaksa sebab Khairi Jamaluddin dia bercakap pasal COVID, and then dah banyak tindakan yang diorang dah plan. Jadi akak rasa terpanggil untuk explain dan tunjuk cara macam mana nak faham apa yang dia cuba sampaikan. Sebab banyak maksud yang tersirat di antara apa yang dia beritahu. All I can say that YB Khairi Jamaluddin is a very smart man. Smart and probably shrewd as well. Apa maksudnya? Okey, tak apa. Aku tunjuk dulu videonya ya. Okey, kejap So video ni dalam Facebook Khairi. So boleh pergi ke Facebook dia. Bertarikh 8 hari bulan Oktober. Facebook Live. Dia diinterview oleh seorang ni. Aku tak pasti daripada mana. Jadi sebab video ni semua dalam bahasa Inggeris. So apa akak akan buat, akak cuba nak explain dalam bahasa Melayu supaya semua orang boleh faham. Nombor satu. Nombor dua, akan nak ajar macam mana nak tengok apa keywords dia, and then kita pergi sama-sama verify apa yang Khairi cakap ni betul ataupun tidak. Should we question or not? Maksudnya kita perlu persoalkan ke tidak, atau main terima bulat-bulat je ke macam mana? Macam mana nak jadi critical thinker. Jangan terima je cakap orang, kita kena tabayun, kita kena siasat apa yang dia bagi tahu. Ya? Okay, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So I will start the video. Lepas tu akak akan guna komen kat sini untuk type keywords yang kita sama-sama akan search and Google and then cari apa maksudnya. Sepatut kita bimbang ke tak perlu bimbang. Okay? Okay.
So we're live.
We are. Okay. Hi, YB. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
So thank you for joining us in this topic, Malaysia's race for a COVID-19 vaccine.
Yes.
So maybe let's just start out with...
Tajuk interview je dah seram. Malaysia race for COVID-19 vaccine. Perlumbaan Malaysia di dalam perlumbaan untuk mendapatkan vaksin. Kenapa perlu berlumba? Never mind. Okay.
Maybe you could tell us what is the current situation, in the global sphere.
Global fear. Ha. Oops. Tersasul pula ya nak cakap global sphere, cakap global fear. Betul dah tu, global fear lah ni. This is what they want.
When it comes to the vaccines and how close is the world, in getting a vaccine?
Well, according to the World Health Organization, there are about 193 candidate vaccines being developed around the world. 42 are in clinical trial stages. I think 11 are in phase 3, the last phase of clinical trials. We should be getting safety and efficacy data from phase 3 November, December for some of these candidate vaccines. Once
Okay. Dia cakap apa? Daripada the third phase clinical trial, dia kata ada 11 pengusaha vaksin yang sudah pun berada di tahap 3 percubaan klinikal untuk vaksin, dan dia cakap kita akan dapat data tu bulan 11 atau bulan 12. Okay, akan tulis and then kita akan pergi Google, betul ke data-data tu kita akan dapat bulan 11 atau bulan 12. Clinical trial data by November or December. Okay.
That data is available, then of course the approval process, the regulatory approvals will start. And of course, the FDA has just issued emergency approval guidelines recently.
FDA dah approve emergency usage guideline. FDA dah approve emergency usage guideline. Maknanya, this is what I said in the earlier video, fast track. Ni maksudnya walaupun selalunya vaksin biasa makan masa 5 tahun, tapi yang ni special case diorang dapat emergency approval. Okay.
As has WHO. In Malaysia, the approval and regulatory agency is NPRA, National Pharmaceutical Regulatory Authority, under the Ministry of Health. They will do the regulatory approvals for the vaccines. And once we have data, once we have approval, then we can start procurement. Actually buying the vaccines and bringing it and transporting it to Malaysia. That's going to be a logistical challenge, obviously, because transporting vaccine, you need cold chain supply, transport, and that's going to be something that we need to prepare from now. So I think the short answer is if the data is good in November, December, and approval comes after that, then we're looking at, of course, next year. And that's what all the news that's coming out seems to converge around next year for the deployment of the vaccine, if it is safe and effective or efficacious.
Okay. On our part, how long do you reckon it will take for the approvals to happen? And also, you mentioned about the cold chain supply, and you're saying that preparation is being done right now. Maybe you can just elaborate briefly on that aspect as well.
Yeah, we've been discussing with certain pharmaceutical companies who will assist in the transport and the delivery of the vaccines across the country. Obviously, we want to ensure that once we've procured the vaccine, we can immunize our citizens everywhere across the country. So
we want to ensure we can immunize our citizens everywhere across the country. Dia nak immunize semua orang seluruh Malaysia. Dan dia punya concern sekarang is the logistic. Maksudnya company mana yang nak supply, nak ni. Kalau orang yang biasa politik, nampak ini as kecing opportunity nak dapat tender daripada kerajaan. Wallahu alam.
So there are pharmaceutical companies, local pharmaceutical companies, government-linked companies who have the cold chain facility and that can deliver right up to the hospitals and the point of care across the country. And we're in discussion with these companies right now to ensure that as far as logistics are concerned, that's going to be sorted out and we can deliver the vaccines across the country. On when Malaysia will get it, obviously we're pursuing a multi-pronged approach. As I've announced earlier, we're still talking to COVAX, which is an international facility.
This one, dia cakap multi-pronged approach, maksudnya dia try banyak macam channel untuk dapatkan vaksin as soon as possible masuk Malaysia. Nombor satu yang dia sebut is COVAX. And then this COVAX is actually under Gavi. Gavi is actually under Bill Gates. So akak tulis COVAX. Nanti kita Google sama-sama COVAX ni siapa.
That's run by Gavi as well as the World Health Organization. We are also speaking bilaterally to pharmaceutical companies directly through the Ministry of Health. And also we're talking to governments like China, where we are trying to finalize a
Selain WHO, selain pada company Bill Gates, dia juga berbincang directly dengan government, and of all the governments, China yang dia bincang.
Memorandum of agreement or memorandum of understanding at the G2G level to see if we can secure supply of their vaccines if they're approved later.
Okay. So, YB, we did in the end become part of the COVAX allocation plan, but it seemed like I think we only joined the
No. We're still negotiating.
Okay.
So on the 5th of August, our permanent representative in Geneva, Dr. Ahmad Faisal, had written a letter to Gavi, the Global Alliance for Vaccine and Immunization, to express our interest in the COVAX facility.
Okay.
And subsequently, COVAX had a call with the Ministry of Health. There was concerns over the terms of the procurement, and that discussion has been ongoing. I've had 2 calls with COVAX. My ministry has had another subsequent call with COVAX. I'm aware of this sort of deadline tomorrow about
the payment.
COVAX, but I think in my discussion with COVAX, I think the policy of COVAX is not notwithstanding the guideline tomorrow, is not to shut the door on any country. So we are still in the process of negotiation and discussion. We have some concerns. I've been discussing with the Ministry of Finance. I've been discussing with the Attorney General's chambers. I've been discussing with the Ministry of Health, directly with Tan Sri Hisham as well, about joining the COVAX facility, presented to Prime Minister twice. It's something that we're still discussing with COVAX.
Okay, so what are the concerns? You mentioned there were concerns. Is it finance? I mean, cost-wise, or what are we looking at?
Well, obviously that's one. I mean, the upfront payment is quite a big commitment. If you go for, I mean, there are two options to this, which is a compulsory purchase and the optional purchase.
Right.
If you go for optional purchase, just as an illustration, if you go for optional purchase and decide to immunize 10% of your population, just the down payment alone is going to be about 90 million ringgit. That's
So dia beritahu tadi ada a few concern pasal COVAX. Nombor satu, duit. COVAX minta down payment banyak kalau nak secure vaksin yang belum pun approve lagi. Tapi kena bagi down payment siap-siap kalau nak. Itu nombor satu dia punya concern.
That's just the down payment, yeah. And the cost of the vaccine itself, I think there's a if you go for compulsory, there's a ceiling of $20 per vaccine.
Kalau kita beli banyak, maksudnya kita wajibkan seluruh rakyat Malaysia. COVAX kata kalau kamu buat wajibkan compulsory vaccine, kita bagi harga murah. Paling-paling mahal pun US $20 satu. Kalau tak nak buat compulsory, harga dia akan jadi mahal.
Or per person, per dose. So you're talking about quite a big commitment here. So obviously price, cost is an issue. We've seen pricing that's come out of pharmaceutical companies that are more competitive, for instance, than the price structure that has been proposed through COVAX. So that's why we are still discussing, because we want to ensure that the agreement is not lopsided. There are countries that have joined, there are countries who have also not joined. We obviously want to still intend to join because this is also a bulk purchase, global solidarity, but the terms have to be fair to the country.
Global solidarity. Maksudnya nak bersama-sama dengan dunia. Tak kisahlah kalau dunia tu ikut cakap siapa, tapi kalau dunia, one world government kata semua kena vaksin, tak kisahlah kalau vaksin ni belum approve, tak kisah sebab kita global solidarity.
the countries who decide to join. Malaysia is categorized as a middle to high income country, not a low income country under COVAX. So we don't receive any subsidy. We don't receive any assistance.
COVAX under Gavi, which is Bill Gates, akan bagi subsidi untuk third world country, negara-negara miskin macam Afrika. Kesian diorang. Tapi kalau negara macam Malaysia, memang kita tak dapat subsidi langsung, kita kena bayar sendiri. Duit siapa? Bukan duit KJ, bukan duit kerajaan, duit kita, taxpayer money.
Through the COVAX facility, we're fully self-paying country. So that's part of Malaysia's challenge as well. So we are looking at COVAX. We're looking at the price bilaterally with the pharmaceutical companies. There've been, we've signed non-disclosure agreements with many pharmaceutical companies, and we're seeing the price. We're seeing the data, the clinical trial data that will come through in the next couple of months, and then we can make a more informed decision. But even let's say we go through COVAX, yeah? COVAX only allows you to take up to 50% of your population, not more than that. Yeah, so even if we did go with COVAX, their limit is only for each country to procure via COVAX up to 50% of their population.
50 of 15, sorry.
50.
Okay.
50%. So that means that, for the remaining 50%, say you want herd immunity at about, 70, 80% or whatever it is, you still have to procure it outside of COVAX. You still have to go directly.
Walaupun kita janji dengan COVAX, kita nak immunize semua Malaysia dengan COVID punya vaksin 100% untuk dapatkan harga $20 tu. COVAX tak boleh bagi untuk semua. Dia boleh bagi harga tu untuk maksimum 50% daripada population Malaysia. And KJ cakap kita perlukan lagi balance sebab nak mencapai 70 atau 80% rakyat Malaysia untuk mencapai herd immunity. Jadi dia punya target, dia nak vaccinate 70-80%. Kalau dapat daripada COVAX 50, balance, dia akan beli kat company ni sikit, China sikit, company tu sikit, company mana-mana yang ada. Maksudnya kita akan dapat different vaksin daripada different company yang ada different result, and also different type of vaccine. Different company, semua tengah study sekarang ni, ada banyak type of vaccine.
You still have to negotiate bilaterally with pharmaceutical companies. So I think it's important that we have multiple lines of negotiations right now. My assurance is that to the Malaysian public is that we are looking at this seriously. We don't want to be left out. Obviously, we want to make sure that once the vaccine is approved and available, that we'll be there and we'll get our initial allocation, at least for the most vulnerable groups that we can deploy the vaccine first. But at the same time, we want to ensure that any agreement is not lopsided, is fair, and the price is reasonable for procurement.
Okay, so maybe just to clarify, when you say lopsided, what is it that you mean? I mean, unfair in terms of just cost-wise, or what are we talking about here? What are we looking at here when you say lopsided? Could you just maybe?
So there are issues.
Okay, dia kata sekarang ni masih tak ada kata putus sebab mereka masih lagi berbincang, dan dia nak nak make sure that the agreement is not lopsided. Lopsided maksudnya tak berat sebelah. Jadi kita nak tanya, wartawan tanya, maksudnya apa? Kalau lopsided tu maksudnya apa? Berat sebelah macam mana?
With negotiations with the pharmaceutical companies, which is entirely done by the COVAX facility and not the countries themselves. There are issues regarding tax payments. There are issues regarding indemnities.
Okay. Dia ada sebut satu keyword kat situ yang kita perlu faham. Indemnity. I'm going to write it down and I'm going to reverse the video sikit so dengar daripada mulut KJ sendiri yang sebut pasal indemnity.
unfair in terms of just cost-wise, or what are we talking about here? What are we looking at here when you say lopsided? Could you just maybe...
So there are issues with negotiations with the pharmaceutical companies, which is entirely done by the COVAX facility and not the countries themselves. There are issues regarding tax payments. There are issues regarding indemnities. There are issues regarding transportation cost, liability. Unfortunately,
Liability, indemnity and liability. Those are the two keywords yang kita kena siasat, sebab diorang ni nak letak benda ni bukan kat dalam pasu depan laman rumah kita. Diorang nak letak benda ni dalam badan kita, dalam badan anak-anak kita, dalam badan mak ayah kita. So ada isu pasal indemnity and liability. I'm going to write that down first. Lepas ni kita kaji sama-sama.
We can't reveal in detail what these issues are because
We cannot reveal in detail what the issues are. Dia tak boleh nak share dengan kita. Kalau kita nak tanya indemnity, apa maksudnya? Maksudnya diorang tak nak bertanggungjawab ke kalau ada siapa ambil vaksin ni mati, cacat seumur hidup? Dia kata dia tak boleh share. Kejap akak reverse balik.
So there are issues with negotiations with the pharmaceutical companies, which is entirely done by the COVAX facility and not the countries themselves. There are issues regarding tax payments. There are issues regarding indemnities. There are issues regarding transportation cost, liability. Unfortunately, we can't reveal in detail what these issues are because COVAX has insisted on confidentiality of the terms, so I can only...
We can't reveal in details what the issue are because COVAX tak bagi tahu kita apa risikonya memasukkan benda ni dalam badan kita. Apa indemnity issue, apa liability issue about this vaccine, tak boleh cerita dekat rakyat yang kita nak inject. Let that sink in, okay? Dia tak boleh bagi tahu apa God, I don't know what's the indemnity and liability. Nantilah kita bincang Tapi dia kata dia tak boleh cerita dalam detail sebab COVAX kata, jangan cerita lebih-lebih. Kalau cerita nanti orang takut. So jangan cerita lebih-lebih.
Speak in those general themes that we've been looking at these the implications of these concerns very, very closely in the last 2 weeks or so.
Okay, so now that we are still in midst of negotiation, is there a concern that it may be too late? Let's say if there is a big breakthrough in the vaccine, I mean, is there any concerns? Are we worried about that?
No. I mean, there are countries who have big fiscal and financial abilities who've put down a lot of money for advanced purchases, and that they're doing that on a risk basis because some of these vaccines that they buy in advance may not even be approved. Malaysia, we have to be careful because our financial abilities are not as broad as some of these other countries, and our Ministry of Health rightly has very high standards when it comes to safety and efficacy of the vaccine. So they also would not like to rush unnecessarily. But that doesn't mean that we're not doing anything. That doesn't mean that we're going to be at the back of the queue. That doesn't mean that everyone else around the world is going to get vaccinated and Malaysia is not going to be vaccinated. We believe that we are still discussing and ensuring that Malaysia will get a safe and effective vaccine.
Okay. So maybe you mentioned there are 42 vaccines now at the clinical stage. Maybe from Mosti's side, could you let us know if are there any of these vaccines that maybe we have had any MOUs with or any agreements with? Are we looking at that, or maybe you could just
Yeah, we have a non-disclosure agreement signed with various pharmaceutical companies under the Ministry of Health. As you know, there are different types of vaccines that are being developed. There's the inactivated vaccine, like some of the ones that the Chinese are developing. There's the genetic type of vaccine, the mRNA vaccine that Moderna is developing. There's the viral vaccine.
Okay, sekarang dia tengah bagi tahu jenis-jenis vaksin. Dia ada mention tadi apa? Company yang first dia sebut Moderna. Moderna pun anak syarikat Bill Gates. And then dia akan sebut lagi jenis yang lain. Okay, akak rewind sikit. The type of vaccine and daripada siapa.
we have had any MOUs with or any agreements with? Are we looking at that, or maybe you could just
Yeah, we have a non-disclosure agreement signed with various pharmaceutical companies under the Ministry of Health. As you know, there are different types of vaccines that are being developed. There's the inactivated vaccine, like some of the ones that the Chinese are developing.
Okay, the Chinese are developing inactivated vaccine. Okay, itu type nombor 1.
There's the genetic type of vaccine, the mRNA vaccine that Moderna is developing.
mRNA vaccines by Moderna.
There's the viral vector adenovirus vaccine that AstraZeneca is.
Adenoviral vector vaccine by AstraZeneca. Kenapa akak tulis nama company dan jenis vaksin? Lepas ni akak tunjuk macam mana kita nak tengok betul ke tidak company-company ni akan ada data by November and December macam KJ cakap.
Doing with Oxford University. There's a protein vaccine that's being developed by Novavax. So, we're looking at across the board. There
we have had any
the mRNA vaccine that Moderna is developing. There's the viral vector adenovirus vaccine that AstraZeneca is doing with Oxford University. There's a protein vaccine that's being developed by Novavax. So, we're looking at across the board. You can go with the tried and tested inactivated vaccines. You can also take a risk and try to look at the data coming in from the mRNA vaccine, which has never been developed before. mRNA vaccine that Moderna is developing. There's the viral vector adenovirus vaccine that AstraZeneca is doing with Oxford University. There's a protein vaccine that's being developed by Novavax. So, we're looking at across the board. You can go with the tried and tested inactivated vaccines. You can also.
Dia kata kita boleh pilih daripada 4 pilihan yang dia sebut tadi. Kita boleh pergi kepada yang tried and tested inactivated vaccine ataupun wait for it.
So, take a risk and try to look at the data coming in from the mRNA vaccine, which has never been developed before.
Atau pilihan kita lagi ialah we can take a risk and take a look at the data of the mRNA vaccine by Moderna that has never been used before. Maksudnya, ataupun kita boleh sebab dah tak cukup, nak cukupkan juga 70%, 80% tadi daripada population Malaysia, kita belasah je lah. Take a risk and ambil mRNA vaccine yang dibuat oleh Moderna Bill Gates walaupun dia tak pernah digunakan sebelum ini. We can take a risk. Who are you risking life? Whose life are you risking? YBKJ? Your chickens? Dia ambil risk dengan nyawa siapa? Nyawa kita.
But the most important thing, I think, is to make sure that it's, again, safe and efficacious. The safety and efficacy is very, very important.
But of course, he had put in the caveat. Dia akan make sure, dia akan be sure benda tu safe dan efficacious. Sangat efektif. Macam mana dia boleh confident, akak pun tak tahu. Sebab kalau nak dapat betul-betul yang safe dan efficacious, minimum 5 tahun. Macam mana dia boleh confident, boleh dapat awal tahun depan, ilmu dia sangat tinggi.
So on our part again, how long will we take in order for the approvals to be done here once there is a vaccine, before it can be procured? So maybe you can just tell us a little bit on that as well.
I'm not interested to know when to get it again. But okay, kejap akak nak move forward this video kepada minit ke-30 sebab kat situ dia akan sebut dia nak buat benda ni compulsory, wajib pada seluruh rakyat Malaysia. Kejap.
Chance or to get access to this vaccination, because I think that's what people want to know, because although we are looking at various approaches, but I think in the end of the day people want to know how soon.
Wartawan ni kata bila YB nak dapat, semua orang nak tahu ni bila nak dapat. Is she speaking for the entire Malaysian? Dia ingat kita semua ni memang tergedik-gedik sangat ke nak vaksin?
Can we get the vaccine? So what is your take on that?
I mean, it's difficult for me to give a commitment. This is all subject to so many things which are out of our control: regulatory approvals, and also transportation, logistics. But the assurance that I can give the Malaysian public is that we are pursuing a multi-pronged approach in trying to procure the COVID-19 vaccine, continuing to discuss via COVAX, continuing to talk to governments directly like the Chinese government. I've just had a 1-hour discussion with the US ambassador about vaccines as well, talking directly with pharmaceutical companies through MOH, signing non-disclosure agreements, even looking at using fill-finish facilities here in Malaysia through some of our pharmaceutical companies, so buying the vaccine in bulk. I've been talking vaccine to vaccine people nonstop for the last month or so. In fact, last night I even dreamt of being injected by the COVID vaccine. I even dreamt of the particular company that was injecting me. I'm not going to say which company it is, but yeah, I was injected there.
Lawak yang tak kelakar. Dia kerja kuat sangat nak cari vaksin untuk Malaysia ni sampai mengigau-ngigau. Sampai dia mengigau mimpi company dia tak sebut. Can I take a guess, YB? Is it Moderna? Is it COVAX? Daripada Bill Gates? Oh, dia mimpi dia kena cucuk sini. All I can say, YB, is that amin. Semoga anda dapat apa yang anda doakan. Banyak-banyak vaksin dicucuk pada anda.
Okay. So it's vaccine talk all the way through and through, which is understandable because that is the debate that's everyone's mind. Okay, so
a matter of clarity, because this has come up a couple of times, and I just want to address this. It's some people ask, why is he talking about it? Why isn't
MOH? Yeah.
We have a working group between MOH, MOSTI, as well as Wisma Putra, Foreign Affairs Ministry. I work closely with Adham and Hisham on this, Dr. Sri Hishamuddin, as well as DG, as well as Dr. Tan Sri Jamila as well.
The rest of your people, they are all on board, DG included.
Brief PM. It's just I'm coordinating this, and we work closely together. There's no issue of this ministry not doing anything, or what this ministry doing too much, or I think we're just trying to coordinate the response to this.
So you're the spokesperson for this committee, it's fair to say that?
For now, yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, YB, what is your advice? Like, lots of people are very concerned, especially with the number of cases. It's, just increasing. I think that has caused another round of scare, to people here. So everybody is just worried about what's going to happen next. So what
Okay.
do you want to tell the people?
I think the message is not just for today, but it's also for the medium term, because we don't know about the long-term efficacy of the vaccine.
Message dia, jangan fikir yang ni je. Kena fikir long term sebab kita tak tahu kebersanan vaksin ni. Dah tak tahu kebersanan, kenapa nak ambil?
Whether or not the effectiveness of the vaccine continues for a long term, whatever it is, we are going to have to practice public health measures for the foreseeable future. Just because we have the vaccine later, not knowing the seroconversion, not knowing how long it lasts, we will still have to practice the new normal.
Dah spend 3 bilion pun nanti ke atas vaksin and dah vaccinate 70-80% orang Malaysia, kita masih kena pakai mask, kita masih lagi kena tutup masjid. The new normal lah, masih lagi kena buat. Walaupun dah habis 3 bilion nanti, kita masih kena buat. Then what is the point?
Which is
Cautionary measures, okay.
Distancing, masks and things like that. I think, obviously what's happened in the last 2 weeks is extremely unfortunate. With a spike in the number of cases, we're working hard to bring the cases down and to flatten the curve again, and I think we can do it. Of course, everyone's worried because after being used to low 2-digit cases, suddenly we've got hundreds, and who isn't panicking? But don't. I mean, we have to trust our frontline professionals. We have to trust our security services doing contact tracing, trying to do enhanced MCO that is targeted in certain areas. We feel that the spread is still contained. Sabah, we've put in certain measures as announced by the Security Council. We're quite certain that most of the cases in Kedah, for instance, contained at a detention facility there.
Sabah contain, Kedah contain. Dia kata boleh dikawal. Dah kalau boleh dikawal, kenapa extend PKPB sampai bulan 12? Hampir seluruh Semenanjung pula tu.
So yes, there is reason to be concerned, and I'm not downplaying that at all. And I think we should all be concerned, and we should all heighten our adherence to the SOPs. But at the same time, I don't think that we are at the precipice of a free fall here. I think that we are working hard to bring things under control. But again, tying it into the vaccine message is that even once we get the vaccine, not knowing its long-term efficacy, not knowing its long-term effectiveness, we really do need to live like this for some time until we develop antibodies that don't go away for corona, or unless somehow just corona peters out, like some of the earlier zoonotic diseases.
Yeah.
Kita kena buat macam ni, SOP semua ni, new normal ni, sampailah kita sendiri develop antibody kita sendiri, ataupun corona ini hilang. YB, if you're listening to this video, I suggest pergi Google Halloween celebration in Wuhan. Halloween 30 bulan November kan? 30 bulan Oktober kan, baru ni kan? Kat Wuhan, dah tak ada social distancing, dah tak ada pakai mask, tak ada SOP dah. Tak ada vaksin pun. Kenapa dia orang boleh macam tu? Tempat yang hari tu orang mati belepuk macam tu je. Okey je dah. Kenapa pula kita pula yang paranoid lebih?
Okay. YB, back to the supply of vaccine and cost-wise, what is the ballpark figure that you have?
Ini tak habis-habis dengan
maybe
tak habis-habis soalan dengan duit. Bosan betul lah. Okay, kejap Nak forward ke? Yang dia cakap mandatory is actually here. Sorry. Okay.
Is going to be very, very important. I've been discussing this with Tan Sri Jamila about how we're going to craft the communication strategy for this. Because
dia nak craft communication strategy. Do you guys know what that means? Macam mana nak yakinkan seluruh rakyat Malaysia seronok nak ambil vaksin macam Minah interview ni. Bila vaksin nak siap? Bila vaksin nak dapat? Boleh tak kita tak ketinggalan ke? Macam mana kita nak craft komunikasi supaya semua orang tergila-gilakan vaksin ni? Itu dia punya main point sekarang.
We don't want a situation where the anti-vax are going to come out and say, and point to certain examples which are not apple-to-apple comparison.
Dia tak nak anti-vaxxer nanti datang and then tanya contoh-contoh cases yang bukan apple-to-apple comparison. Maksud dia kalau kita nak dengar dalam berita kata 2 orang volunteer daripada AstraZeneca dah mati. Ini bukan example, this is fact. 2 orang dah mati lepas ambil vaksin daripada AstraZeneca yang disebut tadi, company tadi, masa dalam trial. Jangan compare. Sebab dia bukan apple to apple. Dia apple to durian. Dia orang tu apple, kita ni durian. So, dia orang mati, mungkin kita tak mati.
They're going to say, oh, look at what happened in Philippines when they came up with the dengue vaccine, which ended up resulting in deaths of infants in Philippines. So we're going to have to ensure that we communicate the safety data, the efficacy data of these vaccines clearly to the public. What is being shared right now in terms of data, what's being peer reviewed, not many people can understand that. I don't understand that.
Kalau dia kata kalau baca sendiri dekat website nanti tak faham. So biar bagi kat diorang bagi kita faham.
But we have to distill that and communicate that so that people are
We have to distill that and communicate that. Distill. That is a very good choice of word, YB. Distill ni apa yang perkataan Melayu dia? Menjernihkan, menyucikan. Lepas tu baru kita communicate.
Confident when we do this mass immunization that they will participate.
So bila kita nak roll out mass immunization program imunisasi besar-besaran seluruh negara, semua orang rakyat Malaysia memang berlumba-lumba nakkan vaksin ni.
Well, we want to make it compulsory.
There, he said it. We want it to be compulsory. Kami nak wajibkan. I rewind ya. Supaya kita semua boleh mengigau sama-sama.
The safety data, the efficacy data of these vaccines clearly to the public. What is being shared right now in terms of data, what's being peer reviewed, not many people can understand that. I don't understand that, but we have to distill that and communicate that so that people are confident when we do this mass immunization that they will participate. Well, we want to make it compulsory because obviously for us to defeat
we want to make it compulsory. Maksudnya dia nak wajibkan seluruh rakyat Malaysia. Lepas tu macam mana dia nak track, dia pun dah cerita kejap
COVID, apart from the long-term effectiveness of the vaccine, is that everyone is immunized and we get to herd immunity. So I think it's going to be very important that we instill confidence in the people from the data that we get our scientists to get out there, talk to the people and say that, look, once we approve this, and Malaysia, NPRA, National Pharmaceutical Regulatory Authority, and MOH, has great professionals there, very stringent regulatory approval process, perhaps the gold standard in the world. So they say it's good for us, and I think that has to be communicated. So all this,
when they say it's good, rest assured it's good for us. Percaya je bulat-bulat, jangan tak payah check peer review, tak payah baca jurnal sendiri-sendiri. Kalau saintis yang kerajaan bayar ni kata bagus, memang akan jadi bagus. And yet, they have indemnity issue, they are talking about liability issue. If it is betul-betul bagus, kenapa nak indemnity? Kenapa nak immunity against sue, saman?
Doomsday stories that I'm sure the anti-vax will come up with.
Now, diorang dah memperlekehkan kita yang bercakap pasal kiamat, doomsday story, the anti-vax are talking about doomsday. YB, kita memang dah kat akhir zaman dah. Dunia memang dah nak kiamat. Apa bendanya yang nak kata benda mengarut lagi? Kamu ni Islam ke tidak? Baca Quran ke tidak? Study hadis ke tidak?
Can be defeated, because we need the public to be able to trust in the vaccine that we procure and for them to get immunized and take the vaccine.
Okay, so you will be coming up with that messaging pretty soon, so that you make everybody to understand what's going on.
Assuming that the phase 3 clinical data comes in November, December, which some of the companies like AstraZeneca, like Sinovac have said that they will come up with the data by
AstraZeneca kata nak come up with the data by November, December. Nanti kita check.
November, December. Regulatory process, maybe another couple of months after that, then the production and delivery, by Q2 or Q3 next year, middle of next year. So that communication process has to start now. So we're in the process of discussing that, and hopefully by the end of the year, or now it's October, November, December, we can start with our communications plan and strategy about the safety of the vaccine, the necessity of the vaccine.
So sekarang ni dia punya tugas, dia nak campaign sampai dia dapat approval daripada NPRA, which dia estimate sometimes Q2, tengah-tengah tahun depan. Lepas tu bila dah dapat je approval, terus cucuk ramai-ramai. And then antara sebelum nak dapatkan tu, sekarang ni kena buat mass communication, campaign gila-gila, suruh semua ustaz cakap, oh ini halal, sila taat, ulul amri, kalau tak taat berdosa, halal, confirm safe punya. So terus ambil, kalau tak ambil berdosa.
Who's going to be immunized first, how you're going to get immunized, the schedule, where you're going to get it done, and also to work on stuff that we've been talking about other forms of technology, for instance, deployment of blockchain for the vaccination process, so we know exactly the dose that you took, where it came from, which batch, which manufacturer, because it's quite likely that we will have different vaccines. We're probably not going to procure from just one pharmaceutical company. In terms of
disebabkan kita tak boleh beli vaksin ni daripada satu company, maka sangat penting untuk kita track vaksin yang masuk dalam badan kamu tu daripada China ke, daripada AstraZeneca ke, daripada Moderna ke, daripada whatever. And kalau nak track, macam mana nak tahu? Kalau pergi je kat klinik terus cucuk je, lepas tu macam mana nak track kan? Nanti tengok ya.
The supply capacity, we might procure from multiple pharmaceutical companies. So at least Hema, through blockchain, I know that you got, for instance, the vaccine from Moderna, from which batch, which date. So we can use blockchain for that. We can use electronic health certificates, and we're discussing about how to ensure that once you're vaccinated, you get an electronic health certificate. Maybe we put it on your MySejahtera application. So
did you hear that? Dia nak letak dekat MySejahtera app. Maksudnya nanti semua orang kena wajib ada MySejahtera app. Bila dah vaksin, your digital certificate mengatakan this person is vaccinated against COVID-19 for the first dose. Orang ni telah ambil vaksin untuk COVID-19. Masuk dalam MySejahtera. So, siapa-siapa nak masuk kedai, siapa-siapa nak pergi kerja, kena tunjuk nak masuk mall ke apa ke, nak beli barang ke apa ke, kena tunjuk app ni kata saya dah vaccinate, saya boleh masuk. So, siapa yang tak nak ambil vaksin, fill in the blanks lah. Sila jawab sendiri.
So you can go around and show that, this is my e-health certificate. I've been vaccinated on this date using this vaccine, and this is my e-health certificate. And hopefully, we can also work with foreign governments to create early travel bubbles by mutually recognizing these electronic health certificates. Okay, this guy has been vaccinated through a vaccine that my country's regulatory authority has approved, so he can travel to our country. So those are other parts of technology that we're looking at in terms of deploying this vaccine.
Okay, all right. Okay, so thank you.
Okay. Alright, sekejap ya. Okay, sekali tadi akak janji nak all the whatever that kita tulis keywords tadi kita nak search kan. Okay, kejap. Let me pause this recording, open up a new window. I can't pause. Okay, kejap. Okay, first Kak nak tunjuk kat mana kita nak check sama ada apa status sekarang company-company yang YBKJ sebut tadi. So boleh pergi ke clinicaltrials.gov. This is US punya National Library of Medicine. So kita boleh masuk senang je, find a study. So kita bagilah masuk dalam ni, tulis COVID-19. Dah ada dah pun dah. Okay. Lepas tu kita nak cari vaksin. Kita sebab dia baru banyak sangat study, pasal ubat pun ada study, so kita nak tengok vaksin sahaja. Okay, so probably vaksin. Okay, tak apa, kita search ni dulu. Ada berapa kita tengok. Kat bawah ni ada banyak, ada 280 study. Lepas tu kalau kita go down, kita just cari nama-nama yang familiar tadi yang dia dah sebut. Kejap ni Russia punya, ni Brazil, Wuhan, China. Okay. Ada 2 daripada China. Tadi dia kata dia ada buat G2G, government to government punya discussion about vaksin daripada China. Jadi kita tengok dia ada 2 study. Satu safety and immunity, and then the phase 1 clinical trial of booster. Booster ni maksudnya lepas nombor 1 punya vaksin, nanti lepas 6 bulan kena ambil lagi vaksin baru. Okay, kita tak nak tahu yang tu. We cross the bridge when we get there. Kita tengok yang ni je. Safety and immunity of COVID-19 vaksin. Daripada Guangdong, China. Dia punya status is recruiting. Recruiting tu maksudnya dia orang masih lagi menerima manusia-manusia yang rela menjadi lab rat, yang rela untuk dicucuk dan dibayar untuk test. Kenapa ada orang yang rela aku pun tak tahu. Tapi mari kita tengok kita tekan je yang China ni. Tadi YB kata kita akan dapat data bila? November, December kan? Okay. So when we go down, so Shenzhen People's Hospital Party punya study ni, dia kata dia estimated dia orang dah start bulan Februari, okay. Estimated primary completion date maksudnya the first complete lepas orang ni ramai-ramai participantnya 100 orang, nak dapatkan data orang ni sakit ke, mati ke, meroyan ke lepas kena cucuk, Julai 31st 2023. And then itu primary. And then semua-semuanya December 31st 2024. So macam mana KJ kata boleh dapat data bulan November, Disember 2020? Saintis tu sendiri kata tahun 2023. So nak tahu apa benda primary punya study, KPI and all that, boleh go through and study sendiri kat sini. Sebab anti pula dah, akak nak tunjuk yang benda lain punya, okay. Moderna, okay, jom kita search Moderna. COVID-19 Moderna. Ini company salah satu yang disebut tadi. Ayan. Hold on. Okay, ada 2 study found by Moderna. Kejap, I'm not done. Kejap lagi. 5 more minutes, sorry. Okay, so dia ada 2 study. A study to evaluate the efficacy, safety and immunogenicity of mRNA. Ni yang KJ sebut tadi, mRNA vaccine. Lepas tu ini yang kita kena baca. Dia active, not recruiting. Maknanya dia dah cukup orang dah. Dia tak nak ambil volunteer baru. Mari kita klik. Ni yang KJ confident akan dapat data, good data daripada bulan pada bulan November dan Disember kan. Okay. Okay, betul. Company-nya Moderna Incorporated in Texas. Okay, partisipannya ramai, ada 30,000 orang. Tak tahulah betul ke tidak. 30,000. Lepas tu dia akan dapat data hanya pada Oktober 2022. Tahun depan tahun berapa? 2021 kan. Tapi tadi KJ kata dapat data bulan 11, bulan 12 tahun 2021. Okay, satu lagi company yang disebut AstraZeneca. COVID. AstraZeneca ada 9 studies. Ada study in Japan. AZD1222 ni yang disebut, dia tak sebut tadi lah, tapi dia sebut apa tadi, apa perkataan dia sebut tadi? Vector. Vector vaccine. Phase 2 double placebo. Combination therapy, Masya Allah. Okay, kejap. I just want to show a study in health subject of access bioavailability. Oh, I didn't put okay. Okay. Inilah dia. Ni vaksinnya. Vaccine for prevention is not yet recruiting. Dia orang tak rekrut pun lagi. AstraZeneca 100 participant. Baru start August. And March 21 akan dapat data of this 100 participant. Dapat data baru. Belum lagi dapat kelulusan. Belum lagi nak tahu data tu berapa yang mati, berapa yang cacat, berapa yang ada long term effect. Jadi dia nak kata, tujuan akak tunjuk ni, kalau siapa-siapa bagi tahu kita apa-apa, tabayun. Check. Okay, mari kita tengok siapakah COVAX yang duduk sebut-sebut tadi. Okay, sorry. Sekejap So, boleh tengok kat sini COVAX punya detail. Indeed, it is under WHO. So, of course lah, diorang nak jual. So, apa-apa yang kat sini this is the kind yang KJ nak buat. The communication. Nak convince semua orang yang benda ni safe. Okay. Padahal tadi kalau kita check sendiri dekat website clinicaltrials.government, banyak tarikhnya dia pun dah lari. Kan? Okay, then I want to share something else. Okay. Now, YBKJ, if you are listening to this video, and I pray to Allah that you will, tolong tengok link ni. Semua orang boleh masuk link ni. Ni online.anyflip.com/panjang lah slash ni pula kan. I will put this link inside the description of my video so that korang boleh just click and study sendiri. Ada 60 pages of evidence based science summary of facts. Ada 60 muka surat bukti yang mengatakan there is no deadly pandemic. Bahasa Melayu, penyakit COVID-19 ni tidak membunuh. Bukan pandemik. Dia sesama biasa. Faham ke tak faham? Orang Kelantan kata tak ada gapo. Orang Pahang kata, oh jangan bobok sangat palai. Bobok sikit-sikit sudah. Ni zaman internet, zaman banyak orang boleh cari information sendiri, baca sendiri, fikir sendiri. Tahun 80-an dulu bolehlah demo nak tipu kita. Okay, siapa yang tulis ni? Ni semua doktor-doktor. Ada nama doktor kat situ. And kolong baca kenapa doktor-doktor ni kata COVID ni bukan pandemik. Dia ada evidence dekat sini. Nombor 1, extremely low mortality risk. Kematiannya sangat-sangat rendah, malah 10 kali lagi rendah daripada common cold, the influenza. And then fraudulent death statistics. Statistik kematiannya dimanipulasi untuk menakutkan rakyat. Ini bukan sahaja dekat Malaysia, seluruh dunia pun dia guna taktik yang sama. Effective treatment exists. Kalau kena sesama macam biasa, makanlah vitamin C. Keluarlah pergi jumpa matahari dapat vitamin D. Kuatkan immunity badan sendiri, bukan vaksin. Ada banyak fact sheet dia, maksudnya fact ini bukan teori konspirasi. YB, this is not doomsday theory. This is fact backed by science evidence. So as you say, Malaysia ada top-notch gold standard scientist kan? Okay, I urge you, I memohon YB, KJ, tolong study these all 60 pages of evidence and include it inside your communication package. Tadi kata nak buat communication cantik kan? Nak convince Malaysian that benda ni safe kan? Okay. Tak payah sibuk-sibuk, pening-pening kepala. Sini dah ada the data yang saintis seluruh dunia kata COVID ni tak perlu vaksin. COVID ni bukan pandemik. Jadi just pergi je. Nombor 1, betul ke tak betul apa dia orang cakap ni? Jangan just cakap, oh tak betul tak. No. Buktilah. Buktikan yang apa dia orang cakap ni tak betul. Nombor 2, betul ke tak betul? Nombor 3, betul ke tak betul? Okay, nombor 3, I'm going to just read number 3 just for the fun of it. Kids in particularly are more likely to be hit by lightning than to die of coronavirus. Anak-anak kita, kalau kita belajar statistik, kebarangkalian untuk kena coronavirus adalah jauh lagi rendah compare daripada kebarangkalian dia nak kena sambal peti. It is that ridiculous. And dia orang bukan cakap je. Kat belakang-belakang ni semua ada dia punya data. Siapa yang rajin nak study, boleh klik kat link nanti, study sendiri. Study sendiri. And they have many case study in Italy. Diorang tak buat lockdown pun. And then doktor ni kata, we are actually getting closer to herd immunity tanpa vaksin. Sendiri je. And dengan kuasa Allah, of course. And I can't really see another reason. Dia kata hospital dah kosong. Ni, hospital. COVID wards empty as virus death toll plunges in the UK. Hospital kosong. Coronavirus is weakening. Could disappear on its own. Dekat Itali. Tadi KJ kata, oh nanti lagi tu tunggulah entah bila dah nak disappear. Dah disappear dah pun. There is no such thing as a second wave. Kalau dah second wave, tak ada apa benda yang kita nak cakap pasal third wave. There is no second wave. Tak ada gelombang kedua, gelombang ketiga, gelombang apa. Yang ada gelombang pembongakan. Lockdowns are worthless. Okay. If you test positive, ni daripada CDC, okay? If you test positive, katalah, oh kena ada close contact, pergi swab test. Dia oh positif, oh lepas tu murungnya, ya Allah. Lepas tu anak-anak suami semua kena close contact, semua kena buat test kan. Tapi kalau kamu, dalam CDC website kata, kalau kamu positif, apa dia maksudnya? There is a chance, a positive test result means that you have antibodies from an infection with a virus from the same family of viruses called coronavirus, such as the one that causes the common cold. Maksudnya, kalau kita test, lepas tu positif, dalam badan kita dah ada virus tu, tak semestinya COVID-19, tapi daripada common cold. Sesama biasa pun akan menyebabkan PCR test tu jadi positif. That explain why the mortality rate is so low. Sesama biasa je kot. Okay, ada banyak. Ada 60 pages. I'm not going to go through. You guys can go through. Kalau siapa yang memerlukan hikmat translation, insyaAllah Akak akan mencari masa untuk tolong translatekan. Kalau KJ, you need help, yeah, sure. I'll be glad to have a coffee chat with you. So, T-cell and herd immunity, mass effectiveness is dangerous. Mask is ineffective and dangerous. Pakai mask sentiasa is tak efektif and dangerous. Dan dia beritahu kenapa. Treatment is already exist and is working. Dan dia beritahu apa ubat-ubat yang boleh. So yang kata itu apa? Penyakit tak ada ubat kan? Penyakit ni tak ada ubat kan? Dah ada ubat, cuma dia orang yang tak nak beritahu ubat sebab dia nak jual dia punya vaksin. Conflict of interest. Sibuk sangat sebut WHO. Satu dunia dah tahu WHO ni korup. Satu dunia dah tahu siapa yang pegang WHO. Kita masih lagi nak bertuhankan WHO. Why the WHO faked a pandemic? Kenapa dia nak buat benda ni susah-susah? So dia akan beritahu sejarah, study sendiri, baca sendiri YB. You don't have to answer to me. You have to answer to every Malaysian because not only it is our money paying for the vaccine, but it is our body that you are, what's the word? Gambling with. It's our life, it's our body that you are gambling with. Conflict of interest. Okay, Mamat ni memang lah. So don't brush us off as saying that we are doomsday, possessed. We are anti-vax. We are human with brain who are able to think critically, inshallah. So please go through all the 60 pages and put in your communication. How do you plan to debunk all this? Mamat ni, dia lah tukang sponsor WHO. Dia juga yang sponsor Gavi, yang KJ sebut tadi. Mamat ni juga sponsor CDC, sponsor ID 2020. Go and look it up about that. A definition of duping delight. Ini budak-budak psikologi should take this nuts as a case study. Seorang lagi mangkuk walhayun. Okay, sejarah vaccination. And what's inside it. Yang siapa yang suka sangat kutuk anti-vax tu, akan nak tanya korang tahu tak dalam vaksin tu ada apa? Nombor 1, cell from aborted fetus. Janin yang digugurkan, sebab itulah diorang semua pro-abortion. Sebab bila orang-orang buat anak luar nikah, tak nak baby tu, bunuh baby tu, janin tu dia buat vaksin. Serum from aborted calf fetus blood. Cells from monkey's kidney. Patutlah perangai manusia sekarang macam separuh beruk dah, macam Darwin. Sebab dalam badan kita memang ada sel monkey. Cell from dog kidneys. Mouse brain. Cells from army worms, whatever that is. Allahu Akbar. Sian diorang ni. Baca. Kaji, fikir. Sebab tu Allah bagi kita akal. Baca, kaji, fikir. And of course they quoted the famous Spanish flu. Baca sendiri, kaji dan fikir. Okay, ni akan nak share. Australia PM, Perdana Menteri Australia. He said, some careless people and even a few politicians, beberapa orang yang careless, cuai, dan beberapa politician that would possibly entertain the idea of mandatory vaccines yang berangan-angan nak buat vaksin ni mandatory, COVID vaccine mandatory, are guilty of a criminal violation on international human right. Sebenarnya diorang tengah melakukan kesalahan bila diorang kata vaksin mandatory. Their reasons and motives are irrelevant and possibly deceitful. Kenapa dia orang buat macam ni? Kita tak payah tanya kenapa. Sebab mungkin sebabnya itu deceitful. Deceitful tu apa? Membongak, menipu. Siapa yang paling pandai membongak, menipu? Akak tak nak cakap, kan akak cakap, semua orang kata akak ni kaki konspirasi. Okay, lastly, a vaccine, especially new experimental and the rushed one, vaksin yang masih dalam tahap eksperimen dan masih yang di fast track kan, rushed, buat cepat-cepat, are a human experience. A human experiment. Dia tengah buat eksperimen kat kita. You won't know the side effects or worse until possibly years later. Kita tak tahu dia punya side effect. Dah 2-3 tahun tengok-tengok, tergencet akal, lumpuh, mati. Oh tak apa, ini memang efek biasa. Biasalah tu, bukan semua kena. So, Pak Menteri dipersilakan ambil dulu vaksin ni. Tahun depan kami tengok kalau semua sihat dan kami ambil. Boleh? And by the way, in UNESCO, ada article 6 talking about consent. Maksudnya kebenaran. Any preventive, diagnostic, and therapeutic medical intervention is only to be carried out with the prior, free, and informed consent of the person concerned based on adequate information. Bahasa Melayu, apa-apa ubat yang untuk mencegah ataupun diagnose, nak test ataupun terapi hanya boleh dibagi pada seseorang itu bila seseorang itu dah dapat information sepenuhnya. Jadi macam kita, dia cucuk vaksin, dia beritahu tak apa dalam tu? Dia beritahu tak apa kesan sampingan? Dia beritahu tak berapa orang mati? Dia beritahu tak berapa orang cacat? Tak ada. Main cucuk je kan? Consent is only meaningful if it is based on an informed decision. Kalau korang masuk kampung and takut-takutkan orang kampung dengan penyakit COVID-19 yang sebenarnya hanya sesama biasa, lepas tu paksa semua orang ambil vaksin, you are committing a crime according to the UNESCO Article 6 and it says, in no case should a collective community agreement or the consent of community leader or other authority substitute for an individual informed consent. Tak boleh ketua negara ke ataupun ketua NGO ke, ketua parti ke, ketua persatuan makcik bawang ke yang boleh kata, pergi ambil vaksin. Kalau kau tak ambil vaksin, engkau memudaratkan kami. Tak ada siapa yang boleh kata macam tu. Okay, tu dia. Oh, bukan 60 page, 74 pages. Okay. So, YBKJ, this is your homework. Please go through it. And then, please answer us. Kami, rakyat Malaysia, nak tahu yang cantik-cantik buku ni, yang segala data yang dia orang bagi ni, mengarut ke? Kalau mengarut, prove it to us mengarut, dan we'll queue in line when the vaccine are ready. Else, guna duit kamu sendiri, jangan guna duit rakyat. Guna duit kamu sendiri, vaksin diri kamu, vaksin kawan-kawan kamu semua dua. Ujung tahun 2023 nanti, kalau kamu tak cacat, kalau kamu tak terencat, kalau kamu panjang umur, dan kami akan ikut. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.